All right, I'm going to make a quickie. And I also have something a little bit more specific to talk about. Not sure what I'm going to end up with drawing wise. I think it's a better pencil. Uh, so I'm upset about current events in this country, in America. I have been expressing my worry about how the country changed after 2001. People became uptight and tribal, and it's been kind of growing. And there's a lot of foreign entities that just look at us fighting and rub their hands together because it's what they've been trying to do for a long time. And it's really easy to divide people and to make them fight. All you have to do is to appeal to their most tribal instincts and to pit people against each other based on some made up truths. Like, I look at my Facebook feed, and a lot of the kind of random posts I get are just rage bait. They want you to be upset, and some of them are exaggerated, like from either side of the spectrum. The lefty, the ones that are supposed to be lefty are extra spicy, and they're designed to make the other side angry, and the right wing ones or the conservative ones are meant to make the left side angry, and they are posted by foreign bots, and they're designed to seed the mistrust and animosity, and it's working. And Putin and others are looking from their bunkers or their palaces, and they just can't wait for it to unravel, and we fall for it. So one of the cultural shocks that I still feel about being in America, I've been a citizen since 2013, is the amendment to the Constitution about bearing arms. So, Second Amendment, the premise of which I've never understood. It sort of sounds very lofty and romantic, but when it comes to reality, it's not quite practical, because when you think about it, you are technically encouraged to be armed in order to defend yourself or your family or both against a tyrannical government. So okay, so yeah, sounds great, right? And also defending yourself against any other threat is a great idea. I feel like free society in free society, people should be able to have means to defend themselves. But in civilized society and modern society, those means are the law, the courts, the police, which works in many countries that are not America. If there's a crime, you call the police. But the gun culture in this country is very strong. So it's basically, it says citizens should have a right to bear arms, and automatically those arms are semi-automatic weapons. Like, where's that? Like, why? It doesn't really specify what kind of weapons. What about an axe or a bow and arrow? It's sort of an excuse for people who really love guns to make it legit, to sort of create it, this sort of aura of God-given right. But when it comes to it, when the rubber hits the road, The tyrannical government doesn't care whether you have a constitutional right to bear the arm that you're holding in your hand, and they will disarm you and then they will shoot you. And then more people will try to shoot back. But to be honest, American military is too powerful to take it down by a bunch of citizens with firearms. So that's been kind of argument against the sort of like libertarian and right-wing gun enthusiasts. We've been telling them that, you know, if when it comes to it, when the tyrannical government really is trying to suppress you, yes, you can reach for your firearm and shoot back, but so can you when there's no so-called God-given right to bear arms. You just defend yourself. So when it comes to it, you can get a gun and defend yourself. Because at this point, when it comes to it, it doesn't matter what laws are. You don't have rights anymore. It's suspended. It's a reset. Um, so, like, how would it work? Like, say you want to defend yourself against a tyrannical government. So in reality, let's say it's an officer. Let's call them officer for the sake of semantics, who is heavily armed and is about to bash your head in against the sidewalk and kneel on your neck. So you shoot, but then they see you as a domestic terrorist, not as a citizen who's trying to just exercise their basic rights. They won't call you that. They will say, because the tyrants don't care about constitution, they will see you as a threat, a domestic terrorist. So does it matter whether you had this constitutional right or not? While they will label you, in any case, they will label you as a threat and they will shoot, they will kill you after they disarm you. So that's the beef I have with Second Amendment. There are only two options of how the tyrant perceives us. One is what the Second Amendment pretends to guarantee, which is they will see you as just a citizen exercising their right to defend themselves, right? The Second Amendment provides that. But more realistically, they will perceive you as domestic terrorist with a weapon. And if they see a weapon in your hand, they will shoot. They won't ask questions. And the more people will start defending themselves, the more force the government will employ in order to disarm the population. So that then turns into a giant bloodshed, basically, a civil war where there's just thousands of victims and it lasts years and then it gets resolved by just bleeding out. And then we go on for a couple of centuries or 1 century where all these resentments are still festering. They're still there and they're now surfacing again. And we feel like we have these constitutional rights. And the rights are there only because we are free. Once we're not free, automatically the rights are gone. So what's the use of rights when they're only good when the government allows you to have them? The very definition of the tyrant is that the tyrannical government don't let you use the firearms against them. They won't be saying like, "Oh, I'm sorry, oh, I see you're a citizen defending your rights. Or I apologize. I will just back down now. No, they will not do that. They will reframe this story and they will say, nope, you don't have a right to defend yourself. You are a problem. We are going to execute you on the street. And that's that. So yeah, there is the option is there to shoot back, but it's really beyond any God-given right. It's just pure animalistic vengeance, and it's not part of a structure of laws and rights. It's outside of that. So yeah, it's that's pretty much all I had to say about the Second Amendment. Second Amendment is sort of like it reminds me of a cosplay where people have an excuse to shoot guns, but it's very costly cosplay because the statistics of gun deaths in this country are just harrowing and growing. There is no end in sight to what happens when we are just allowed to sell guns to random people without any background checks, any vetting. So yeah, it's quite a culture shock for someone who came from Poland, the country that endured a lot of oppression and people rising up with or without God-given right to bear arms. It just sort of seems irrelevant. I'm trying to think of a good analogy for it. It's like, obviously, it just came to the point of like people being proud of owning a gun and like, well, I'm proud of owning this pencil or a toothbrush. Why can't I be as serious about those objects as they are about their gun? Sometimes the pencil is a lot more powerful than a gun. And yeah, and those weapons, they say a pen or a pencil is sharper than a sword. And, the tyrants are afraid of artists, writers, thinkers. That's why the first victims of any sort of coup, crackdown, are intellectuals, artists. Artists are the most feared, one of the most feared groups. Partially, I think, because artists know how illusions work. The musician knows how to move people to the core. They know what tricks, what tools to use to move someone, to change someone's mind. The artists know how illusion works, how to create an image that riles people up, that pushes people to do deeds that are of different nature, either inspire them or demotivate. And often also artists are being employed in the service of tyrannical governments to create powerful images and music that is supposed to inspire people to fight for a cause. And there's nothing more powerful motivation wise than well executed propaganda poster. Those, it almost seems as if the art played a vital role in shaping the world, because all you see in terms of motivating people are these propaganda posters from World War II. The posters were supposed to shame people into serving in the army. Are very powerful. So the artists, if the artists are working against you, you're in trouble. So that's why you want to get rid of the artists or recruit them to work for your cause. So looks like I have been working on some sort of mushroom. I don't know what that it wants to be, but it sort of felt like I focused on what I had to say today because it was a little bit more specific and dictated by the events that I was upset about that happened today on the streets in Minneapolis. Um, like I sort of think about what's the trigger point for me to flee, to go back to Poland. Ironically, Poland used to be the country people were running away from uh, because they were experiencing these sort of things on the streets, the oppression, killing. And now a lot of those immigrants that ran away from that persecution, they're actually in support of that, of the politics that led to the situation that we're in. So like it's very heartbreaking and very ironic. All right, I think I'll just leave it there. I said what I had to say, and maybe I'll just do some off camera and then get back to you on it. All right, thank you for listening.